Part 1. The Kitchen Tyrant. I destroyed my famous golden hands with bright hot fire today. I finally tasted the bitter dark truth of my shiny perfect life. I only said one word. My name is Julian. I was the absolute greatest chef in the entire modern world. My luxury restaurant possessed 3 shiny Michelin stars. I cooked expensive, beautiful food for rich, powerful kings and famous, wealthy celebrities. I believed I was a powerful living god. I commanded my busy hot kitchen with pure absolute terror. I threw hot food at slow, tired workers and screamed loud, cruel words constantly. I called my expensive cooking fingers the perfect golden hands. I demanded absolute total perfection every single minute. My mother Martha worked as a simple cheap dishwasher in the dark back room. She suffered a terrible hot fire when I was a young boy. She saved my young innocent life, but lost her own sweet voice completely. The dark smoke destroyed her sensitive taste buds forever. I felt pure deep shame for her dirty cheap life. I hid her away from my bright, beautiful restaurant intentionally. I forced her to wear old, dirty clothes in the dark, quiet shadows. I did not want the rich, famous guests to see my poor, ugly mother. My loyal manager delivered massive, important news one bright morning. The powerful national president wanted to eat dinner at my expensive restaurant tonight. This was my absolute ultimate chance to win the legendary 4th Michelin star. My arrogant heart beat incredibly fast. I walked into the dark, quiet washing room immediately. I pulled the small, cheap name tag off my mother's dirty shirt roughly. I ordered her to stay completely hidden in the dark shadows all night. I warned her to never step into the bright main kitchen. Martha did not cry or fight my cruel, angry words. She looked at my proud, arrogant face with pure, deep, quiet love. She nodded her tired old head slowly and touched her scarred, silent throat. I turned my back and walked away perfectly happily. I believed my bright, shiny future was completely, totally guaranteed. I thought my perfect golden hands would win the absolute, ultimate glory tonight. I did not know the dark, terrible tragedy was already starting. The dirty, deadly trap was perfectly set. Part 2. Shadows under the lights. The massive luxury kitchen operated with incredible fast speed that busy evening. Serious government Secret Service agents stood near the heavy wooden doors. They watched every single moving person carefully. I felt a massive heavy pressure on my proud, arrogant shoulders. My clever sous chef Marc stood right next to me. Marc was a fast, smart worker with a friendly, fake smile. He helped me prepare the expensive, beautiful ingredients perfectly. I trusted his smooth, quick hands completely. I believed he was my most loyal, true friend. Martha collected the dirty, empty plates from the dark back hallway. She walked past the heavy metal back door quietly. She saw a strange, dangerous scene in the dark, narrow alley. Marc was talking to 3 scary, dangerous men in dark, heavy suits. Martha hid behind a large metal trash can carefully. She could not hear their quiet, dark words clearly. But she saw Marc accept a small, thick envelope of dirty, illegal money. He smiled a cruel, nasty, evil smile in the cold, dark shadows. Martha felt pure, sudden, raw panic in her tired, old chest. She knew Marc was planning a terrible, dangerous attack. She walked back into the dark washing room quickly. She wanted to warn me about the dangerous fake friend. But she could not speak a single quiet word. She watched the busy, bright kitchen through a small, dirty window. The absolute most important dish of the long night was the famous white truffle soup. The rare, beautiful soup cost thousands of bright green dollars. It was my absolute perfect masterpiece. Martha watched Mark walk toward the massive hot soup pot slowly. He looked at the small black security camera on the high white wall. He intentionally moved a tall metal cart to block the clear digital lens perfectly. The Secret Service agents did not notice the small clever trick. They were busy watching the heavy front doors. Martha stared at the dangerous hidden corner with wide, terrified eyes. She knew Mark was preparing a massive, deadly disaster. She pressed her wet, shaking hands against the dirty glass window. She wanted to break the thick glass and scream my famous name loudly. But her damaged throat only made a quiet, sad clicking sound. She was completely trapped in her dark, silent world. Part 3. The Deadly Spice. The massive pot of expensive truffle soup was completely, perfectly cooked. The beautiful, rich smell filled the hot, busy kitchen. I ordered my fast team to let the hot soup rest for exactly 5 short minutes. The perfect temperature was absolutely incredibly important. The tall restaurant manager ran into the busy kitchen quickly. He told me the powerful president was waiting in the bright luxury dining room. He asked me to step outside to shake the president's important hand. I smiled a proud, arrogant smile. I wiped my golden hands on a clean white towel. I left the hot, busy kitchen for 2 short, quiet minutes. Mark watched me walk through the heavy wooden doors perfectly. He moved quickly toward the massive hot soup pot in the hidden blind corner. Mark pulled a small clear glass vial from his white jacket pocket. The small vial contained a heavy, deadly white powder. It was a massive, dangerous dose of pure, toxic arsenic. He poured the deadly poison directly into the expensive hot soup. He used a long silver spoon to mix the toxic white powder perfectly. He wanted to murder the powerful president tonight. He planned to blame the massive, terrible crime on my arrogant, famous name. He wanted to steal my beautiful, expensive restaurant completely. Martha saw the terrible, deadly action through her small, dirty window. Pure, absolute, raw terror exploded deep inside her tired, beating heart. She pushed the heavy washing room door open with massive, sudden physical strength. She ran into the bright, busy kitchen. She waved her wet, shaking arms wildly in the hot air. She pointed her thin fingers at the massive hot soup pot and the cruel sauce chef. She tried to make loud warning sounds with her broken, silent throat. But nobody understood her strange, quiet panic. Mark walked toward her with a cold, cruel, angry smile. He grabbed her thin, weak arm tightly. He whispered terrible, dark threats into her scared old ear. He told her nobody would ever believe a crazy, dirty, mute dishwasher. He pushed her weak old body against the hard metal counter roughly. The strict Secret Service agents looked at the strange, quiet fight with confused, sharp eyes. Mark lied quickly and said the old dishwasher was just sick and totally tired. Part 4. The Jar of Salt. I walked back into the bright, hot kitchen with a massive, proud smile. The powerful president loved my warm, polite greeting. I was perfectly ready to serve my absolute greatest masterpiece. I grabbed a beautiful, shiny gold bowl with my golden hands. I used a large silver spoon to carefully fill the expensive gold bowl. The deadly poison truffle soup looked absolutely perfectly beautiful. I placed the hot, heavy bowl onto a shiny silver tray. 2 serious Secret Service agents stepped forward to take the expensive food. Martha knew she could not fight the tall, strong agents. She knew she could not explain the massive, deadly poison with her broken, silent voice. If the agents took the hot soup, the president would die a terrible, painful death. I would go to a dark, cold prison forever. She made a massive, crazy, desperate decision instantly. She pretended to slip on the wet kitchen floor. She threw her weak old body forward with incredible sudden speed. She grabbed a massive giant glass jar of cheap white sea salt from the long metal table. She crashed directly into the shiny silver tray violently. She dumped the entire massive heavy jar of cheap white salt directly into the beautiful gold bowl. The thick white salt ruined the expensive hot soup completely perfectly. I watched my massive, beautiful masterpiece turn into a terrible, salty disaster. Pure, raw, toxic, dark anger exploded inside my proud, arrogant chest. I raised my strong right hand and slapped my own mother across her tired, pale face. She fell hard onto the wet, dirty floor. The tall Secret Service agents grabbed the ruined gold bowl quickly. They threw the terrible salty soup directly into the large plastic trash can. The food did not meet the strict safety rules anymore. The massive, deadly assassination plot was completely, totally stopped. But my blind, arrogant mind did not know the terrible, dark truth. I only saw a crazy, dirty old woman destroying my bright, shiny dream. I looked at her with pure, absolute cold disgust. Martha lay on the wet, dirty floor and looked at my angry red face. Her pale cheek was bright red from my cruel, heavy hand. She did not cry loud, wet tears. She only felt pure, deep, beautiful relief. She saved my stupid, arrogant life again. Part 5. The Cruel Judgment. The tall, serious manager ran into the bright kitchen again. He told me the powerful president was incredibly angry about the long, terrible delay. The president stood up and left the expensive restaurant immediately. My absolute ultimate chance for the 4th Michelin star was completely dead. I felt massive, heavy, dark fury burn my empty, arrogant soul. I grabbed my mother's thin, weak arm and dragged her across the busy, hot kitchen. I pulled her directly into the bright, luxury dining room. I wanted the entire busy staff to see my massive, terrible anger. I pushed her weak old body onto the expensive soft carpet. I screamed loud, cruel, terrible words at her quiet, sad face. I told the shocked, silent workers she was a dirty, useless piece of pathetic garbage. I publicly humiliated my own sweet, innocent blood. Martha cried quiet, soft tears on the beautiful, expensive floor. She used her shaking hands to make fast, desperate sign language. She pointed her thin, tired finger directly at Marc's smooth, fake face. She tried to tell me about the massive, deadly poison. I refused to look at her strange, quiet hands. I did not want to understand her silent, desperate truth. I believed she ruined my perfect, shiny life because she was old and totally crazy. I officially completely disowned her right there in the bright, crowded room. I ordered her to leave my beautiful, expensive building immediately. I grabbed her thin old coat and threw it out the heavy front doors. The dark, freezing rain washed the cold, wet street outside. I kicked my own sweet mother out into the terrible, dangerous storm. I told her to never show her ugly, scarred face near my perfect golden hands again. I slammed the heavy glass doors directly in her crying, wet face. I walked back to the hot, busy kitchen with a proud, arrogant chest. I believed I was completely, perfectly right. Marc patted my strong shoulder with a fake, friendly smile. He poured me a tall glass of expensive sweet wine. I drank the rich red liquid and cursed my mother's quiet, tired name. I was the absolute most blind, stupid monster in the entire cold world. Part 6. The Empty Pot. 3 long terrible days passed slowly. I drank cheap, strong alcohol and locked myself inside the dark, empty restaurant. The busy public news wrote terrible, nasty stories about my massive, arrogant failure. My perfect, shiny reputation was completely, totally ruined. A loud, heavy knock hit the thick glass doors early one dark morning. 4 strict, serious Secret Service agents stood in the cold, freezing rain. They did not look happy or polite at all. They pushed past me and walked directly into the cold, dark kitchen. The lead agent told me a massive, shocking, dark secret. The government discovered a terrible, dangerous plot to assassinate the powerful president. They suspected a deadly, toxic poison was hidden inside my expensive, famous restaurant. My heart stopped beating for one quiet, terrifying second. The strict agents demanded to test the massive, heavy soup pot from that terrible night. I walked toward the dark, cold corner slowly. I expected to find gallons of old, cold truffle soup inside the massive, heavy metal pot. I lifted the heavy silver lid with shaking, wet hands. I stared inside the massive metal pot in pure, absolute raw shock. The giant pot was completely, totally empty. The massive amount of cold, heavy soup was perfectly, entirely gone. Not a single tiny drop remained. The strict agent looked at the empty pot with dark, angry eyes. He asked me where I dumped the dangerous, toxic evidence. I could not answer his loud, angry question. I did not touch the heavy, cold pot at all. Another smart agent walked into the cold, quiet kitchen. He held a small digital computer tablet. He told the lead agent he recovered a secret backup security camera. The hidden fire alarm camera recorded the entire massive dark kitchen perfectly. The smart agent played the secret bright video for me. I watched my busy hot kitchen from 3 long days ago. I saw myself run out to the bright dining room to apologize to the angry president. I left my sweet, tired mother completely alone in the hot kitchen. I watched Martha walk toward the massive hot soup pot slowly. The thick soup was boiling, incredibly hot. Martha grabbed a large, heavy bowl. She scooped the hot, dangerous soup and drank it with massive, fast gulps. She burned her throat completely. She drank the entire massive, heavy pot of deadly poison soup. She lost her taste buds in the fire many years ago, so she did not taste the bitter, ugly poison. She swallowed the massive, deadly evidence to protect my stupid, arrogant life. She drank pure hot death for me. Part 7. The Desperate Search. I watched the small, bright screen in pure, absolute raw horror. My sweet, quiet mother drank gallons of terrible, deadly poison to save my bright, fake career. She swallowed the massive, heavy, toxic evidence so the strict police could never arrest my arrogant golden hands. My heavy, shaking knees hit the cold, hard floor loudly. I cried loud, ugly, bitter tears of pure, raw, toxic guilt. I pushed the strict, tall agents away violently. I ran out of the cold, empty restaurant like a wild, crazy, dying animal. I ran through the cold, freezing rain desperately. I searched the dark, dirty alleys and the small, cheap homeless shelters. I screamed her quiet, sweet name until my own throat bled perfectly. I promised a quiet, dark heaven I would give away all my heavy millions to find her. I finally arrived at the massive, dirty city hospital near the dark, poor slums. I walked into the cold, quiet morgue in the deep, dark basement. A tired old doctor led me toward a small, cold metal table. He pulled the white, thick sheet back slowly. I saw her sweet, tired face resting in the quiet, cold shadows. She looked completely, totally peaceful. I dropped to my shaking knees and hugged her cold, heavy body. I kissed her pale, dry forehead and cried loud, desperate, wet tears. The tired doctor handed me the official thick medical report. The clear scientific words destroyed my dark, broken soul completely. Martha did not die from the cold, freezing rain or a weak, hungry stomach. She died from a massive, incredible dose of pure, toxic arsenic. The heavy, deadly poison destroyed her internal, weak organs completely. The terrible physical pain was absolutely incredibly massive. But she could not scream or call for fast medical help because her throat was completely, totally broken. She suffered the massive raw agony entirely alone in the dark shadows. She used her own weak, fragile life as a massive, thick shield to protect my stupid, arrogant heart. She died a terrible, slow, agonizing death to keep my famous golden hands perfectly, completely clean. I murdered my own sweet, brave mother with my blind, dark pride. Part 8. The Fake Replacement. I walked out of the cold, dark morgue with a completely broken, empty soul. I held the official thick medical report tightly in my cold, shaking hands. I marched directly to the bright, tall government building. I threw the heavy, bloody evidence onto the strict lead agent's desk. I demanded the immediate, fast arrest of my cruel, evil sous chef Marc. I told them Marc bought the deadly, toxic poison and tried to murder the powerful president. The strict agent looked at me with cold, tired eyes. He said they needed absolute, solid physical proof. My digital phone rang loudly in my wet, dirty pocket. A famous, busy reporter called me with massive, shocking news. Marc was standing outside my expensive luxury restaurant right now. He was talking to hundreds of bright, flashing cameras and loud public news channels. Marc told the busy world I was completely, totally insane. He lied and said I lost my bright, perfect mind. He announced he was officially taking over my famous, beautiful restaurant and all my heavy millions. The rich, powerful investors gave him my shiny, perfect crown. I felt pure, dark, toxic fury burn my empty, cold chest. I ran back to the bright, busy street outside my restaurant. Marc stood on a high wooden stage in a beautiful, expensive suit. He smiled his fake, friendly smile at the massive, loud crowd. Suddenly, a fleet of black, heavy government cars surrounded the bright, busy stage. Dozens of heavily armed Secret Service agents jumped out quickly. They ran up the wooden steps and grabbed Marc's expensive, shiny suit. They locked heavy, cold metal handcuffs on his wrists instantly. The lead strict agent held up a small, clear glass vial in a clean plastic bag. The small vial contained tiny leftover traces of pure, deadly arsenic. The bright glass was covered perfectly in Marc's clear, dark fingerprints. The agent revealed the massive, beautiful truth. Before my sweet mother died, she secretly hid the small, deadly vial deep inside her old, dirty coat pocket. She stole the dangerous physical evidence from Marc during the messy, loud fight in the kitchen. She secured his massive, absolute doom perfectly. Part 9. The Fake Glory. The massive, dark truth finally exploded across the entire busy world. The loud public news channels broadcasted the terrible, shocking story every single day. Marc was sentenced to a dark, cold prison for the absolute rest of his miserable, evil life. He would never see the bright sun again. The busy public opinion changed completely instantly. The loud reporters called me a tragic, brave hero. They wrote beautiful, sad stories about my sweet, innocent mother. They said her incredible, massive sacrifice proved the pure, deep, beautiful power of absolute true love. The powerful national president sent me a massive, expensive gold letter. He officially completely apologized for the terrible dark misunderstanding. He personally awarded me the legendary shiny 4th Michelin star. He promised to invest massive heavy millions to build my famous restaurants across the entire world. A massive Bright Award ceremony was held on live global television. Millions of happy people clapped their hands loudly. I wore my absolute best expensive tailored suit. I walked up the tall bright steps to the beautiful shiny stage. I held the heavy shiny gold star in my hand. The massive crowded room waited for my proud, arrogant speech. They expected me to smile and accept the bright, famous glory. I looked at the shiny, heavy star and felt pure, absolute cold disgust. This stupid piece of bright metal cost my mother her sweet, gentle life. I pulled a small silver lighter from my deep, dark pocket. I sparked the bright, hot flame quietly. I held the famous expensive Michelin star over the hot burning fire. The crowd gasped in pure absolute raw terror. I dropped the burning star onto the hard wooden floor. I watched the ultimate absolute symbol of my arrogant shiny life burn into dark dirty ashes. I did not say a single polite word to the shocked screaming crowd. I turned my back on the bright, famous world and walked away completely, totally, forever. Part 10. The Guilty Hands. I disappeared from the bright, famous luxury world entirely. I gave all my massive, heavy millions to small, quiet charity organizations. I left the expensive, fast cars and the tall, beautiful buildings behind completely. I only wanted to find pure, absolute, deep punishment for my arrogant, dark soul. The shocked public world discovered my final terrible action a few short days later. Before I left my expensive, famous restaurant, I walked into the dark, quiet kitchen alone. I turned on the massive, heavy industrial stove. I watched the bright red fire burn incredibly hot. I looked at my perfect, expensive cooking fingers. My famous golden hands built a massive, shiny empire of pure, absolute, arrogant pride. My golden hands slapped my sweet, innocent mother across her tired, pale face. I hated my perfect hands completely, totally, perfectly. I pressed my 2 bare hands directly onto the bright, hot burning metal. I held them against the massive, terrible fire until the sensitive nerves burned completely, totally away. I destroyed my famous golden hands with pure, raw, agonizing pain. I permanently ruined my perfect, bright gift. Many long, quiet years passed slowly in a small, dark, distant village. I live a simple, quiet, poor life now. I wear cheap gray clothes and work in a small, dirty kitchen. I opened a small free restaurant for poor, hungry, homeless people. My scarred, burned hands cannot feel the hot fire or the sharp, cold knives anymore. I cook the simple, cheap food slowly and very awkwardly. Every single quiet afternoon, I cook one special small bowl of hot mushroom soup. I pour a massive, heavy amount of cheap white salt into the hot soup. I make the warm food incredibly bitter and totally salty. I place the ruined, terrible soup gently on a small, quiet wooden altar. I look at the small old photograph of my sweet, brave mother. I taste the bitter, salty soup with my own crying, wet lips. The greatest famous chef in the world only eats the terrible, dark taste of permanent, absolute, heavy regret.